20s to feel like that's it, he's burnt out. I think he needs protecting. I think, again, he's someone that doesn't openly complain about the amount of challenges that he gets and kicks. And again, we can all kind of think, oh, well, he's constantly on the floor. But if you are involved in the game and you're getting the studs down the calf, if you're getting a whack on the ankle, they build up every single game and every single week. And like I said, he doesn't miss many of those games despite the amount of physicality that he has to withstand, partly because of his quality. I think, again, it shows his mental strength as well.
I mean, he's always been a go-to ever since sort of Arteta came in as well, in terms of what he's done since he arrived on the scene. His statistics are quite ridiculous in terms of what we see here. First on the list for everything: goals, assists, involvements, chances created, big chances created, and shots as well. I mean, it's a phenomenal career he's already having, and he's still so young. No wonder they wanted to tie him down when the rest of Europe can see this.
I mean, all the attributes that are so important to a player in his position, he's right up there. What it doesn't say is distance covered and you know, how he tracks back and how he helps the fullback and all of those things that maybe go under the radar. But the most important ones, when you're in that position and everyone's looking at you to score and create, he's there. And he's doing it regularly, and he has done since he got into the Arsenal team. What he probably hasn't had, and I'd love to know whether he thought that, is he hasn't really had those top level goal hungry strikers that maybe should be putting away more of the chances that he creates, and his numbers would probably be even better if he had those players, because so many of the Arsenal forwards haven't been those out and out centre forwards. Gyökeres is one of those, and I think we're still waiting to see that combination between him and the Arsenal striker. Yeah,
I think a lot of people would agree with that. We'll certainly talk about Gyökeres a little bit later on in the show. In terms of Arsenal, do they need somebody just as good on the other side, though? Because is Saka so brilliant, so shining on one side, and then they haven't got that the other side of the pitch?
I think they're searching for it. Of course they are. I think Martinelli and Trossard are taking it in terms almost to try and reach the levels that he does. And they can, but it's the consistency that's so impressive from Bukayo Saka that I think sets him apart from probably anyone else in that side. Now, can Madueke step in and be that player that challenges him and challenges those players on the other side? I think he's got the quality to, but I think they'll always be searching for that next player, and it just feels like Arsenal are just building, and every transfer window they're looking to just chip away and improve that next position or that next level of position to try and continue to go on and win things.
Just in terms of that, you mentioned the transfer window. Do you expect them to do much business at all this window, or do you think they've kind of got what they need?
No, it wouldn't surprise me if they did, if the opportunity came around. And I think when you're in a position of strength as they are, that is the time to go and seek and find players. We hadn't really talked about Mark Guéhi as a possibility at Arsenal because of the centre back. But again, it's that type of transfer where you would think, well, if you're in such a position of strength, a player could really be tempted thinking, well, you're probably going to go on and win the league. I'd love to be part of that straight away in January, especially with the World Cup coming up as well. So I think it would be impressive if they can do something that kind of takes the eye of everybody.
Yeah, you make a really good point. Let's reflect on last night's game, and everyone's talking about it. Martinelli and what he did, shall we say, to Conor Bradley. Let's take a look at it. Everyone's got a view on it. What's your opinion?
I think first of all, obviously, we want to wish Conor Bradley well, because that's a horrible position to be in when you know you've done something. But there's a few moments now. Of course, Martinelli throws the ball at him. You can't excuse that.
Yeah.
He's behind Bradley, so he maybe doesn't see that, and you see he rushes to go and get the ball as soon as it happened. He maybe doesn't understand the severity of the injury. And then what we see is Conor Bradley is in pain, but Conor Bradley's thought process is, like lots of players nowadays, they've all been infiltrated by the same things, is he's thinking, I've got to get myself back on the pitch. He initially rolled off the pitch, back onto the pitch, and then dragged himself onto the pitch, which from anyone's perspective, and that's the thing that incensed Martinelli, was that he saw him drag himself on the pitch, and he's saying, well, no, stay off the pitch, you're you're wasting time. So actually, I think people have really piled on Martinelli, and rightly so, because it's clear that he's injured, and I think he will feel remorseful of what he did. But in that moment, I can see why he's upset with Conor Bradley, because he feels as if he's dragged himself back on the pitch, which so many players do. And also, nowadays, we see lots of players go down holding their injury, slamming their hands on the floor like it's a terrible injury. And then seconds later, they're up and they're fine because they maybe don't get the decision, etc., or the game carries on. This has been infiltrating its way into the Premier League for many, many years, and all players are part of it. And this is what you then eventually get, is players are clouded by if somebody's injured or not.
He doesn't know how bad it is, does he? I guess.
Ultimately, his actions are wrong, Martinelli, in the way he treats Bradley. But there's a bit more to it than just he's a disgrace. I don't think it's that case. I think the way he's seen it is that Conor Bradley's trying to gain an advantage and waste time because he's dragged himself back on the pitch, and that's been his reaction, which is a poor one. But I thought it was a little bit harsh to pile on Martinelli, probably the way that people have done.
I think absolutely you're right in terms of piling on. Just finally on this, a lot of sort of former players were saying, perhaps last night and this morning, that in terms of the injury itself, when you see it's kind of off the ball, it kind of wasn't a collision, immediately your head goes into that's a bad injury. Do you think Martinelli just didn't have that thought process last night, just didn't see that?
Maybe not. Again, we don't see what Martinelli sees. Has Martinelli seen what's happened, or is he quickly shifting his eyesight to where the next ball is to take a quick throw in because he wants his team to get on with the game? And everybody else, we've got, certainly us that were watching, have got the replays, can clearly see there's an injury. No one's near him. So in that sense, I think that's when hopefully Martinelli has watched it and gone, I've made the wrong decision, because it was clear that he was injured. But it's very difficult nowadays to know if anybody's injuries, because so many players act like they've got serious injuries when they haven't.
And as you said before, we wish him well, don't we?